Namaste, brothers and sisters. It's Carrie and Chris here. We are going into a channeling about cannabis and the way to use or not use cannabis, depending on what information comes through. This is a lead on from a private session we did very recently, and we felt the information was so important that we wanted to record it. So we will have the energy come through of a Native American boy called Haku, who came through for Chris and channeled this amazing information just recently. So we'll see what he has to say today, and if anyone else in the galactic realms who are of a benevolent nature wish to come through and share some information. Very useful to the collective consciousness. Many people using the divine plant medicines for gateway opening, amplification of the third eye to go into the astral or higher planes of existence. Not everyone requires that, so we have zero judgment if we wish to participate and listen and observe this particular audio. So I'm going to interview Chris. Chris, before we press record, you said Haku had already turned up. You went into meditation and he was already there. So I'll just let you describe that.
Yes, hello everyone. Chris here. And just following on from Carrie's question there, Haku had come through in a previous meditation when we were just discussing this exact subject. And he was kind enough to come forward and give us some insights into the use of it, why it is here, the history of it. It was quite an intense conversation with some wonderful insights, and certainly gave me a brand new understanding of why it's here for our use on planet Earth. And hopefully today that we can express some insights into whether why we use it, and also why it's here for medicinal purposes. So yeah, we'll see what comes through. But with Haku, he is a Native American boy, and I have a very long history and ancestry back with the Native Americans, so it wasn't unfamiliar for me to channel a Native American in particular because of my family history there. But he also was someone that I trusted very deeply because of his gentle nature, his benevolence to just explain in tribal terms and layman terms exactly what the cannabis plant is about. So he has been a wonderful source of information and a pure source for giving his insights into why the indigenous people or the tribal people of the Native Americans use it. So this is not necessarily everybody's truth. This is just a insight into how one particular breed view it, and obviously how they incorporate it into their tribalism. So that's who Haku is, a beautiful Native American boy.
So we'll get you into meditation, Chris, and call him in. You said he'd already turned up anyway once we decided we were doing this today. So if you can just acknowledge that, yep, you're there with him.
Yes, as soon as the eyes went down and I went into a meditation, he immediately popped into my third eye, knowing what this conversation is about.
And what age is he?
He would be in his late teens, so he's probably around that 18, 19 mark.
Okay, and does he use cannabis himself?
Yes.
And what age did he start using cannabis from?
He was introduced to ceremonies, he was saying, from a very young age, as in a small boy. He recalls as far back as the ages 4, 5 and 6 of not participating in the ritual of cannabis, but actually being at the ritual, watching his older brothers participate and the tribe's men and women participate. So as far as him actually having cannabis for tribalism purposes and for gratitude. He's saying that it didn't start until he was around the 13, 14 mark.
And can he speak to where cannabis comes from? Obviously, it's a earth plant, and there's been mention that it comes from the dog star, the Syrian stars, A and B, Canna meaning dog, and then the Bi, B-I-S, is the two, so the two dog stars. Does he have any knowing of this? Because they're more of an ancient culture. Are they attuned to this? Is that a fact that that's where cannabis has come from?
Just getting his insight into this, actually, just on a humorous point of view, he's actually telling me that his first puff or intake of cannabis was actually at age 12. He's got a big smile on his face, saying he wasn't meant to, but his brothers had snuck some in for him. So he's having a very big laugh. He's got a big grin on his face.
I love it.
So yeah, age 12 was his.
So he enjoys it. Before we get into that other big question.
Yes, he does. And he's just also at the moment he's pointing to the stars. So he's saying that it is a introduced plant, or an introduced plant species from the star people. So he's saying that it's a gift. It's actually a gift on our earth plane. He said every time we smoke it and every time we have a ceremony with it, we honour our Great Spirit and the star people and the star gods. So
how beautiful.
He's saying it's definitely, even though it grows very well here on planet Earth and it's part of our natural vegetation, the seeds themselves, he's saying, was going back to an ancient lineage. I know we've discussed this before, but he is drawing in the sand. He's drawing serious. And I know we've had this discussion, but he's just confirming it.
Okay, fantastic. So is smoking the only way that his culture has an intake of cannabis? And does he have any insights for people in our epoch of time, same epoch of time that he's in, but our current times, how we would be best to utilise cannabis?
Okay, so he's telling me two things. The first and major reason for the introduction of the plant here is it's a medicine. It's a plant medicine. That's the number one reason that it's here. And he's explaining that the reason for the medicine is a number of factors, that it's a bit like an all-rounder plant. He said it calms the nervous system, and he's saying it also calms the mind. He's pointing to his head at the moment, saying that when used correctly, it is a wonderful plant to balance the nervous system, and also sometimes where the mind may take over from the heart and we start thinking too much and we start having irrational thoughts, or our processes are uncontrollable. He's saying that it is more like a modern sort of sedative, that it allows you to go back into a beautiful, peaceful state. So the first port of call, he's saying, is a medicine, but it can be used for a variety of purposes. The second one that he's talking about is ceremony. Along with not only cannabis, but he's saying obviously tobacco and other peyote, etc., that they do use. It is used in conjunction with ceremony, and as he said before, that is more about the connection back to the spirit, creating a portal or a gateway. He's explaining that it allows the subconscious mind to open and have a direct access to pay homage, give thanks, receive messages, and guidance. So that's part of the ceremony. It's more about connection.
Wow, that's amazing. So, is there an incorrect use of cannabis?
Yes, there is. And this is a conversation he's just reiterating. He's actually saying to me, remember what I said. This is in a previous conversation, obviously. So I'll just reiterate what was said. And he's saying that there is an incorrect way of using it. And obviously that is through too much use of it, or the abuse of it, where we would overindulge in the actual plant itself. So he's saying it's only to be used in those precise moments, not as a recreational social drug. It's actually to be used in honour, as we said once before, with that ceremonial arrangement, but also for medicinal. So he's saying unless you've got those two situations occurring, the overuse of it is certainly not part of their process, or not part of what they actually get themselves involved with. He said they do have it, maybe at an evening, but only in what we would say called like a microdose, or a small amount, and they would pass that
Can I
around.
just say, that is so funny. I literally, in my mind, just said, I'm going to ask him about the term microdose, and you said it, so that's telepathy.
Well, if you could just imagine, there'd be both men and women, just for imagination purposes at the moment, if you are sitting around a campfire and there may have been, 6 to 8 people, they would pass it around as part of the pleasure of giving honour to the plant. So it's certainly not used the way that it sometimes is here in modern society, where we overindulge and have large quantities of it, and I understand why people do that, but he's saying no. Once again, that is the misuse of the plant, and it's also, he's saying, he's actually got a cross across his heart saying it's a disrespect to the plant, and he said, like the animals and like the plant life, they have a connection to the human, so therefore please respect the plant and take only what you need, is what he's saying. Just want to reiterate something else he's saying as well, is if there's too much of the plant that's taken in at one time, and particularly when you're trying to use the cannabis for a connection to a spirit or a gateway, or to try and find some information, he's saying that if there's too much of the usage, he's saying the mind will split. So therefore, you go too far out, say into the astral, or you're going too far out into the other realms. So it's a subconscious goes on a trip, and even though that there's some great messages out there and there's also information there, but because your mind has split, it's a bit like a schizophrenic scenario, is that you can't utilize what's out there based on a marijuana trip. You can only get the information that's out there. So if you do come back from your messaging and from your guidance journey with a overdose of marijuana in the system, he's saying the information can get lost in translation. That it's a bit like he's saying, he's showing me a cup and it's overflowing. That you can't bring back the information that's required, or the information that's been presented to you in an astral world, when your mind has actually split. And I think that's an important part of this process, is that the plant is a grounded plant. He's saying it's from the earth. So he's saying, imagine you are the plant, so you're a grounded human, and the plant is also grounded as well. So as soon as you take the plant out of the ground, it's deemed for another use. And it's the same as the actual journey itself, is that even though you're here on earth having that marijuana, where it's actually taking you is on a journey. He said you need both. You need to be grounded, but you also need to have the ability to see through the realms and see through the transitional portals. And too much of it will actually deground you, if that's such a word. It will take you away from its intended use.
Yeah, that's very, very useful information. The way I see that as he's talking is that, yeah, it creates a split in the dimensional field. So you can access higher dimensions if you have a large intake of cannabis, but you cannot retrieve and ground that information because you've got to leap across that split that the overuse of cannabis created, and you're never therefore going to fully anchor those high codes, and so it's almost a wasted journey. Some might stream in, but for anyone listening who has had the occasion where they've had too much, it's also going to make the 3D vessel a little bit sleepy, groggy. Sleepy's okay, but maybe not groggy and confused. They would be signs of too much intake. And yeah, I absolutely love that. I want to say thank you so much to Haku, because that is really next level information. And Chris, is there anyone else who wants to come in? I'm curious if Mother Mary's going to come in, because oftentimes it's called Mother Mary Medicine, marijuana, Mother Mary Medicine, marijuana. So just wondering if she's there, maybe she's not. I don't know whether if you've ever channeled her before, so it may not be a energy signature you tune into, but maybe there's someone else. So I'll just let you go in and see.
Well, Haku's basically, just before we move on from him, he's showing me in his pouch that he wears around that he's got lots of different bush herbs in there. He says it's not just the marijuana. He said there's many wonderful bush medicines out there that have still yet to be utilised or discovered, and he's showing me his array of different ones that he's saying are for different ailments. But he's also saying there's nothing that's provided by nature and provided by Gaia's playground here that can't assist in either managing a syndrome or a disease or something that we've picked up along the way, which is usually from our mental instabilities at times. It's also from even being here on a very fast-paced planet that some of us don't cope as well as we would like. So he is saying, hey, these plant medicines are here to assist you on your journey. But he just keeps using the word. It's just show respect. Respect the plant, honour the plant, and the plant will then work for you. He said that if you overindulge or you abuse the quantity, it will take you in another direction. So he's just wanting to reiterate that point over and over again.
It's a great point, because it gets rid of the rules, because everyone likes to create rules, and it's the opposite of rules. It's not saying have it, don't have it. It's inviting you to have a relationship with the plant in a very sacred and balanced way, whatever that is for each individual.
He's actually holding up his hands. He's going, it doesn't matter if it's daily, weekly, 6 monthly, yearly. The plant will also determine how much you need to use it. But he said, again, it's up to the discipline of the person using it. And if it's used in the correct way, they will then understand the dosages of what's required.
So enter into communication with the communion with the plant, and it will reveal itself to you. But yeah, with the intention to have absolute honour and respect. I absolutely love that. Therefore I would imagine, Haku, that daily use for some is okay, but not for others.
Yeah, he's saying it just depends on what it's being used for.
Yeah.
And if it's, say, he's giving
medicine and ceremony.
He's given me an example. He's saying that his Wakantanka actually uses it on a daily basis, mainly because of his age, and he's saying he's not a young man anymore, and it helps his mobility. He said it still is able to ride his horse. He's still able to help with ceremony. He's still able to help with food preparation. And he finds that, I guess, as we get older, we get a lot of sore spots. He's saying that he uses it very minutely each day, only small amounts. So again, it just depends on what it's needed for, and that will determine the levels of dosage that's required. But he's just giving Wakantanka as an example.
Yeah, I love that example. I felt, that really helped everyone who's listening and myself to understand how that balance can work. So anyone else coming through, Chris?
Well, as you was talking before about Mother Mary, I was just putting the channels out there because, to be honest, I've never had Mother Mary come in through a meditation or an astral travel or a journey that I regularly participate in. But I was asking if she wanted to step forward and give some information. The first one that came through was actually Gaia. Now, Gaia, for me, is a very, very close connection when it comes to meditation. So,
well, just let everyone know, just in case there's someone listening who doesn't know who Gaia or Gaia is, that's Mother Earth.
Yeah, so the feminine side that Carrie's talking about with Mother Mary is definitely the feminine archetype that has put herself forward, or the energy that's put herself forward is Gaia. But this is quite interesting, is because she's showing me pictures of Mother Mary. You're gonna have to go with me on this, but I'm just gonna say what I'm seeing. So she's showing me a picture of Mother Mary with the baby in her hands, but the baby, who is human, has actually cradled by a green leaf underneath it. So I can't work out whether that's actually a marijuana leaf or if it's actually confirming that we are part of the Gaia's forests here. You know, we're part of the children, we're part of the setup here. So I'm just going to ask Gaia what that picture represents, and whether it's a plant of the discussion that we're actually having. Okay, so what they're saying is the cradle, or the, if you could just imagine a baby being held by a mother, and this one in particular is Mother Mary, the actual sheath, or you could call it the plant that's actually the baby is resting in, she said it's transitional. She said it can be a marijuana plant, it can be a forest leaf, it can be a fern. It's actually all the dimensions of what Earth provides through its forest. So she's basically saying that yes, the marijuana plant itself is part of our dynamic, it is part of our process, and it is part of what was provided to Earth many, many, many eons ago to be used for the people. And she's also saying that, yeah, this connection between birth and nature is a very divine link, and it's a link at the moment. Unfortunately, that's been distorted and been broken. Obviously, as we know, through pharmaceutical laboratory drugs that are also made primarily synthetic. And they're saying it's taking us away from that birthright. It's taking us away from Mother Nature. So in answer to your question is, with that information that's coming through, the way I interpret it is that absolutely marijuana is part of our natural resources here that has been provided for us to use. And she's saying, and it can be used right from the minute we are born. Obviously not through smoking, but more sort of through ceremony to honour the children as well. And the ceremony of cannabis can actually connect the child to the womb of Mother Gaia as well. So there's a lot of information coming through, so it's more about a connection. And I guess in answer to the question right at the very start here is the answer is yes.
Wow, that was truly incredible. Thank you so much to Haku, Mother Gaia, and the information coming through from Mother Mary. Thank you so much, Chris. That was just so intriguing and just so much new awareness, I would say, new insights, and hopefully confirms for many people listening what they knew to be true. So sometimes we haven't thought of it or brought it to life ourselves with our own language, but when we hear truth, there's something in our soul that nods. And so if you're getting the soul nod, know that deep within us all, we know the truth, and these channelings can help just give you that confirmation of something that, yeah, it was a seed point in you. So sending everyone much love and namaste.
And just one thing before I go, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity here. And Haku has just popped in to show me something very humorous again, which I must share with you, is he's holding the leaf up and he's saying, what does it look like? And it looks like a star. So he's saying that's where it comes from. And he said, that is the reason why it is here. It is being presented to you from other realms, and it is part of a gift to Earth. So thank you, Haku, for that little last bit of information, and thank you for the opportunity. It's been great.